Was that your stuff?
What? I don't know if I'm hungry or about to shit myself. G'day and welcome to episode 1 of Guns, Hoses and Stretchers.
Oh, fuck, I wrote staging area wrong.
No, I'm joking. Are you going to ask questions straight up? So you're just going to say, welcome to episode 2. We're talking about this. And then bam, fire into
I'll shut the fuck up. G'day and welcome to episode 7 of the staging area.
Are you sure it's 7?
Yes, I know it's 7 because I just double checked it on YouTube. I'm Hayden Mack and that is Simon Roy Lance.
Hello.
How are we doing tonight,
It's the
Simon?
first time you've actually said my full name.
Didn't it?
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
could be making up just like the Dougie thing.
Yeah. Which we found out he didn't bite his tongue off.
If you listen to episode 6, you
Yes.
should have all listened to episode 6. We found out Dougie didn't bite his tongue off. He was involved in a car accident. I was right there. He was involved in a serious car accident and he was drunk at the time.
But didn't
he didn't
mention
bite
the tongue.
Didn't mention anything about him biting his tongue off, so clearly that information was incorrect. It's good to see that Dougie is coming back, though, for the Pizza Hut 50th anniversary this year.
Is it this year?
That was this year, maybe.
Could be old news.
Too busy reading it, listening to this, playing with that. There was a lot going on at the time, so I might have just made that up as well, but it's 50th.
Though you did mention Dougie, I don't know, car accident.
You did have a go.
Well, we're talking about the road toll today.
Boom.
And yeah, I noticed that is every year. It's a big deal, I reckon. And the media, they start putting out stuff, and well, not the media. It should be the news. Like mine is the media. So on the news, you're seeing all these car accidents. I'm figuring out what I'm saying.
Probably should have had it before we started recording, but anyway.
Yeah. But it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
There's all these, road trauma stuff, and I guess we've both experienced it. Me as a volunteer firey, you as a volunteer firey, but also police officer.
Yeah, probably more as a fiery, though.
Yeah, fiery.
Definitely a lot more as a fiery. Yep.
It's a bit full on. You don't realise at the time, well, while you're amongst it, how it could affect you mentally.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I know I've sort of been affected many times, or not many times, but my first one, that was a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
But it's when you really look at the figures. Yes, what is it? So we're currently at this year.
You actually don't know. What is the figure at the moment? I don't know.
So the figures at this point in time.
It's high, I know that.
So at the moment, it's 161 lives lost in 2023, which it's already
That's high.
gone past last year. 2022 was 124.
We were locked up for a lot of last year, though.
No, wasn't it the year before that?
2022, we were locked up for a fair bit of it, and towards the end of 21.
Yeah, 2020, 2021. Looking at this, it was, well, and in 2018 was 101 people died. 2020 was 117.
So we're way above.
113 was in 2021.
So we're
And then-
way above.
According to this, we're up 29.8% on last year.
That's a fair bit.
But you look at those numbers and you're like, oh, that's not a high number. But it affects so many people.
Well, that's
The
the
road
thing.
toll.
That's the thing. Like it's like we talk about the number. So was it 161?
Yeah,
right.
I'll double check that. Yeah,
Random.
161.
161. So it was pretty bad. We literally
Yeah,
just said it.
just
We've
said
already
it.
forgotten. But 161. There's a few things in that though. How much has our population grown in that period of time? Like how much more people are on the roads right now? So this is kind of like that climate change and the population growth thing.
Yeah, right.
Like the more people we have in the state, So that's just 161. Is that just for Victoria, or is that's not the whole
TAC
country? That's purely Victoria.
Yep.
Yeah. So 161 for Victoria. But how many more people are living here now? How many more people are on the roads every single day? So that number's gonna go up. It's probably not ever gonna come down. So then you can start to work out the ratio of, well, how many is it per capita and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, we want no lives lost on the roads. But that's
impossible.
That's never going to happen. It's literally impossible. All right, it's never going to happen. You go back to the days where they had horse and carts. They had accidents and people died. It's not just motor.
I did hear a statistic about that. I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson. The
Good statistic, man.
I don't know, or scientist.
Yeah.
And he was explaining how the statistics back in I think it was like the early 1900s. There was like what would be considered the road toll then.
Yep.
So horse and car, thousands of people were dying.
Yeah.
But that's American statistics. So
But still be
whatever it was here in Australia at that time, I wouldn't have a clue. But I'm assuming he was using American statistics. And they were saying thousands of people were dying. Less people die now on the roads than what there were back then.
There you go.
Which, I don't know, that could be a backfiring horse kicking up and
Well, you think about it.
throwing people off.
If you're in a car and you're going too fast, you slow down, don't you? Like you put your foot on the accelerator. On the brake. Whatever it may be, you slow the car down, put the clutch in, gear down, whatever it is, you slow it down. But if you've got a horse attached to a cart, the horse is kind of in control. Like even though, you've got the reins and stuff, but at the end of the day, if that horse wants to go, that horse is going.
Yeah, I guess so.
And
Yeah.
you got that, you got your cart on it and you get thrown out of the cart or whatever. No seatbelts, no helmets, back then they had none of that stuff. So that's, it's a fair, those wagons pretty high up, pretty big, it's quite a high fall when you think about it onto onto rocks or whatever it may be that you've landed on. It's not, I can see why or how they would have been quite easily killed.
Yeah. But it just seems to be, a big major thing every day.
We saw that yesterday,
everything's
that
happening.
the bus that went through the house yesterday.
Yeah.
See that after it got hit by a truck.
No one died in that, did they?
No, but I think the bus driver was in a pretty bad way. Like like looking at the front of that bus, I think they had to cut him out. They had to rescue him and cut him out and stuff. So, but I think everyone else was like, there's a few people went to hospital with injuries, but I think he was probably the worst out of all of them by the sounds of it. We've had a couple of big bus accidents this year in Victoria.
It's very.
And New South, there was one in New South.
Wales
Was
as
that
well.
nearly 3 weeks ago now? I think it was.
The one going to or coming back from the
Coming back
wedding.
from the wedding, and I think it's like 10 people died or something. 10 people passed away, unfortunately, in that one. I heard something about that today. There's like a GoFundMe account. I think it's made it over $1 million or something for all the families. Rotary is looking after it or something, so they're going to divvy up the money. But there's been some big accidents right across the country. There was those. Obviously, we spoke about youth crime just before, but there was that accident up in Queensland where the young kids were in the stolen car and they crashed into the ladies that were from the local community, and a couple of them died. There's been some really horrific accidents this year. At the same time, like within a week or whatever it was, we had that really bad one up in Victoria here, north up near.
Was it Wangaratta way?
Sort of more near Toke.
Or was that where the car was stolen?
I think that was where the car was.
Wangaratta.
Yeah, something like that. But the accident itself was around Strathallan, or I think it's called Strathallan, Strathmerton.
Okay.
I can't remember now, but it's up sort of up that north of Shep, up around that Tokemore, sort of around that area, or Cobram around there somewhere. There's like 5 people that were killed in that one, and that was within the same week as the one in Queensland. So it's been really bad. It's been really bad, and you and I were both talking tonight on the way home when we were working out what time we were going to catch up here.
Yeah.
And we were saying how bad the roads were because there was a heap of accidents today.
Yeah, accidents.
Ton of accidents. So it's just it feels like it's I don't know. Sometimes it feels like it's getting worse, not really getting better. I don't know. I've just spent the last week in Adelaide at the Australasian Road Crash Rescue Championships, or Challenge as they call it. It's teams from all over Australia competing, and we had a couple of teams from international teams as well.
Okay, yeah.
United Kingdom, Hong Kong, and we had a German and Austrian team here, but they weren't actually competing. They were just over here showing new Weber rescue equipment, which is a set of the equipment that we use. I'm sort of affiliated with them, I guess, so they were over here doing that. But just seeing the teams go through their paces and seeing what they're doing and the complex rescues that they were doing in that as a part of the competition, where it's not just competition, but they're honing their skills at that time, and it's very realistic. It's a really realistic sort of competition that they go through. Was making me think, how important their skills are in what they do. And then it just kind of tied in with, what we're talking about now, today, what we're going to talk about today, because it's just, as you said before, we've seen a fair bit of trauma, the two of us, through accidents. I've definitely seen more in the fire space. I've seen lots. Some of them I can't get out of my little mind. Again, there's that old saying, your mind can't unsee what your eyes view or what your eyes see, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but definitely seen a lot of stuff that I can't get out of my head now, but that's okay. You work through it and you talk to people and you sort of help it out. And as you said yourself, your first one was, I remember your first one all those years ago. And I remember I'm sure you don't mind me talking about it, but as a brigade and as officers in that brigade that you're a part of, we put things in place for you moving forward to make sure that you didn't, get exposed to stuff moving forward, because you were very open and said, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to see that again. Unfortunately, as firefighters, we can go to a job, and on the way home back from that job, we can go to another job, which has happened many times with you and I in the past. But we knew, and everybody knew that there were certain people within a station who didn't like, we call them MVAs, motor vehicle accidents, didn't like motor vehicle accidents. So we put things in place to make sure that those people were somewhat protected or sheltered when we went to those incidents. But, it's, as you said, and I think it's perfect what you said before, it's 161 people who have passed away this year. That really crap calculation in my little head means thousands of people have been touched by those 161 deaths. Because you think partners, kids, mums, dads, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, best friends, work colleagues, they've all been touched by it. And depending on how many people are involved in that accident, that's multiplied again.
Yep.
Then all the emergency services that go. You and I both know for a decent, let's just say it's a single vehicle car accident with even one person who's trapped or one person who's been fatally injured in that accident, you're looking at probably close to 30 plus emergency services. Not individual appliances, but 30 plus emergency service personnel. Give or take 2 or 3 fire trucks, anywhere between 3 to 5 firefighters on board. Rescue, 4 to 5 people on board. You're probably looking at 3 to 4 paramedics. Probably looking at 4 to 5 police officers, tow truck drivers, coroner, their staff who have to come out and help collect the body. So there's a whole heap of people involved. Like there's a whole heap of flow-on people who are involved in that immediate trauma, who then deal with that trauma for the rest of their lives as well as the family who now get told that their loved ones passed away, whatever it may be. So there's a massive amount of people who get affected by road trauma. It's not just the individuals. And what pisses me off the most about this, we still have dickheads out there on the road every day doing shit that is just stupid.
Yes.
Treating everyday roads like it's their own personal fucking racetrack and putting people at risk. And they never die.
Yes.
Those people who do that, they never die. They always kill some innocent person who was just going about their business. That's what pisses me off the most out of that sort of stuff. So, and I don't know, do you think we're doing enough education-wise?
Well, I know when you go through school, I know when I went through school, there was a TAC program, a campaign, and then they did the school rounds. So it was whatever the ad campaign was at the time.
Yeah,
they ended up coming to the school and they showed the ad and all that, and then when you sort of see it from the family's point of view, you're like, okay, there's more than just that one person that is gone or that it affects. And then, it's just this bit, it can be the community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You think of like a country, like
country
a country town.
Yeah.
You know, we both grew up in country towns that were small. Now they're not; they're huge now. But you have an accident in a country town where even one person's killed, that whole community feels it for a very, very long time. And what's even worse in those smaller country communities, let's just say it's little Timmy from the football club that's involved in the car accident and he's killed. There's a fair chance that more than 50% of the emergency services personnel who go to that incident are going to know who little Timmy is, probably know who his parents are. I know some emergency services personnel who have attended car accidents late at night, fatal car accidents, turned up, and it's their own kids.
Yeah, wow. That's...
And small communities, and it's their own kids that they've turned up, you know. And in some case, I know in one particular case, the individual was at that scene for a bit of time.
Before realising, because when they first arrived on scene, they were given a certain task. Wasn't because anyone knew what was going on. They just arrived and they went, you go do that task and we'll go do this. Yep. And they went off and did that task. And it was sort of 20, 25 minutes, half an hour later, when they happened to be finished doing that particular task, that they got close to the scene and went, holy shit, and then just started running to the car. And that's when people realised, that's that person's kid's car or whatever it was, and then they had to grab those people. So, you know, in those small communities, it can tear a community apart in seconds and leave it that way for years. So, what do you reckon can be done about? Do you reckon there's anything to help lower the road toll?
There's a few things, and I say this being someone who's done this before, so I'm not trying to pretend that I'm on some fucking pedestal against anyone else. You know, you and I can both speak to this. We know this. But if you're going to drive a car, you shouldn't be drinking, period. There is no excuse to drink and then get in a car. 1 beer, 2 beers, a scotch, whatever, and then get in a car. If you're going to drink, you don't drive. It's as simple as that. And I say that being someone who in the past has done that, who has had a couple of drinks and then driven home because I knew that I was okay, but I did it. But now when I look back on it, I think, why do I do that for? It's absolutely pointless. So that's probably one thing. I think we need to change that process. Drugs and driving are becoming a really big problem these days. Really big problem. So that's another thing we need to hammer a little bit more, I think. You were talking about the educational program, and I never did that at school, but I left school early. So I only did to the end of year 10, and then I left. So I'm not really sure if the people who would have went on to do year 11 and 12, if they actually did that. But being that we went to the same school, obviously a few years apart, but I would think that maybe they did it. But I don't... I'm a strong believer that kids who are going through and doing their licensing, I think they should have to do a whole heap of things before they get their license. Obviously, at the moment, I think in Victoria, is it 120 hours? Does that sound right?
Yeah. When I did my L's, there was 120 hours.
So let's say it's 120 hours, hoping that the person who's teaching you
knows what they're doing
and teaching you well, teaching you the right things. And then hopefully you go and get a driving instructor who gives you a few lessons before you go for your actual assessment. That's what most people do. I think that should be compulsory. Do 120 hours, and then you should have to do 4 lessons with a qualified driving instructor. And the government should maybe assist in subsidising that potentially. I don't know. But maybe there's some way they can work that out so that you actually have those 4 sessions with the driving instructor. Then on top of that, there should be 2 programs. Maybe it's a weekend program that you have to go and do. And again, the government should be paying for this. It should be your responsibility or your parents' responsibility to get you to this location. The government subsidise it and have the police and emergency services there. And you do 3 things on that over that weekend. Number 1 is you meet and talk to some people who have been involved, preferably young people, because you're going to associate with them better. Talk to them about the vehicle accident that they were involved in. What happened to them? How's it affected them? What actually took place? All that sort of stuff. Okay, so we talk about that. We meet a few of those people and they talk their stories through and they go through the process with you. There should be a display put on where the kids get up close and personal with the emergency services to see what it's like for the emergency services to actually cut somebody out of a car. So put on the full works, just like they do at the road crash rescue events. Put the people in there with the moulage and the blood and all that sort of stuff. Come up with a scenario and watch these kids see how the emergency services have to deal with that incident and get the kids in there dealing with it themselves so they can see what the process is and the danger of that. And then I think through connection with Victoria Police, who should be a big part of this process because they're the road policing authority, particularly here in Victoria, there should be a process where they teach kids to handle cars. Now, many years ago, we used to have a skid pan in Victoria, a Victoria Police skid pan. I know they've still got it. If they still use it, I don't know, but they've still got it. I know they've got it. You used to be able to go out there and learn how to control a car when you went into like a wet slide or oil slick or whatever it was, and they taught you how to control cars during incidents and at speed and all that sort of stuff. They should probably go and teach kids some of this stuff because not to teach them about speed, but to teach them how to handle a car when things go wrong in the hope that if it ever does go wrong, they make the right decision in how to handle the car because it might help them. Because sometimes kids are involved just like adults are involved in accidents. It's not their fault, but they panic when that accident occurs and they do something that's incorrect and that actually makes it worse. So actually teach them how to handle cars properly, go through that process. Same thing should happen to people who want to ride motorbikes. You want to ride a motorbike, go through and do the process. When they're teaching these kids on this 2-day thing, they should have some truck drivers there and put these kids up in trucks and show them what it means to brake heavily in front of a truck or get really close to a truck or, overtake a truck and speed up on the inside of it on emergency lanes and all those sorts of stupid shit that we see all the time. Go and show these kids what happens on this weekend. Go and show them all these different bits and pieces so the kids get a real appreciation for what happens when they're out on the road. Once they've done that and it's been signed off that they've done that, and it has to be the senior police officer on that weekend who signs off on it. Once that's been done and signed off, then you can go and sit for your P's.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. But I don't know. It probably wouldn't. I don't know. If I'm seeing it from my point of view, that it probably wouldn't wouldn't make anyone think twice. A young person.
It'll make some, not all.
Not
You're
all.
100% right. There'll be some people within that group that just go, don't care.
I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing. Friday night, I'm going illegal street drags and I'm going to run amok.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't help those people. But there'll be some others who get a lot of value out of it. If that means we save 1 or 2 extra lives, then in my book, that's fucking money well spent. And I think repeat offenders who are doing dangerous things on the road, more needs to happen in that space. Remove their license altogether. Take it off them for a long period of time. Crush their cars. If you're gonna do really stupid, dangerous stuff, then maybe there needs to be some harsh punishment in that sense. At the exact same time, I often wonder why they're doing it. We go back to the same conversation we've just had, in episode 6. What's going on to make them want to do that sort of stuff that they're doing? If you're going to go do illegal street drags, go to Calder Park. Calder Park Raceway, Friday and Saturday nights, depending on when it is. Sometimes it's on a Sunday. They got the legal street drags there. And the process to race your vehicle there and to be a part of the drag it's really not that difficult. You pay like a fee, you have a helmet, you have a long sleeve cotton shirt on, and away you go. Don't have to have harnesses or anything like that. No special stuff in your car, which in itself sounds crazy, but you can go there and do that. And that's the place to do it.
Yep.
At least then there's a fire and rescue crew there. There's paramedics there. Something goes wrong, they're there. There's safety track officials there. and you can put your street car, against some of the best other street cars in the state. And they happen regularly. Go and do it down there. Because then at least you can see your time too. You can see what your actual time is, and you can, see the different cars you're competing against and see what kind of cars you're up against and all that sort of stuff. Like, there's some actual you get some really good data out of that stuff. And you're safe doing it. And you're not going to get yourself in trouble. If you do get yourself in trouble, if you have an accident, you get yourself in trouble, well, there's people there to help you straight away. It doesn't mean that you'll survive, but there's some help there for you versus doing it on a back road somewhere where if you crash your car, you could be trapped in that car for a long time until someone gets there. So, and that, as you and I both know, when you're involved in a car accident, seconds count. Every second counts. So, you're better off doing it there than these illegal street drags. I know there's excitement there. I'm not going to lie, I went to illegal street drags when I was young. I went once. Somehow the one night that I went there happened to be the night that they were filming.
Okay.
For the news and the police were doing some new operation. I was only young. They were doing some new operation. They knew about all the illegal street drags that were going on. And we went, and as it was, the text message came out that night, half an hour before it was going to start, so that that's kind of how it went. If you were lucky to get on the text message system, I don't even know how that worked. My mate had it. I don't even know how he got on there, but he did. We got the message, and we were already sort of like everybody. We were kind of already pre-staged, so we were already in Melbourne itself, and we were waiting for the text message. Once we got it, bam! Everybody went there, and we turned up, and I'm not going to lie, man. It was exciting as it was the biggest rush of my life. Adrenaline was pumping flat out. There was hundreds of people there, hundreds of cars, burnouts. You're right up against it. And when you're there, you're not even thinking that these cars are going to leave the road and hit you, which nearly happened on multiple occasions. And then, again, I'm not going to lie to you, somebody yelled out police. We looked up. There was a police car there. Then there was another police car. Then we heard a dog barking, which we can only assume was the police dog. And it's like that scene from Fast and the Furious, like the very first Fast and Furious.
Never seen it.
Never seen? Oh, okay. Well, for those of you who are listening who have seen Fast and Furious and you've never been to illegal street drags, it's exactly like the one of the first scenes in Fast and Furious where they're all out there doing illegal street drag. The police turn up and there's just people going everywhere. Literally people running everywhere, jumping in the cars, tearing off, trying to beat the police, mounting gutters, all that. It's just it was a rush. I'm not gonna lie, it was a crazy rush. And, we got out of there. We got out of the first one, okay. Got out of the first one, fine. We waited 20 minutes, got the text message for the new location, and everybody went to the new location. And as you're driving down the freeway, all the cars that you've just been with, everyone's heading in the same direction all of a sudden, and there's no police. And we're like, yay, we fooled them. We hadn't, but we got to the next location. Same thing, a few burnouts. It was intense. It was crazy. And then I actually remember this really clearly because this was the point where I realised how stupid I was being in being a part of it or being there. But there's a couple of things that happened within a few seconds of each other, and I just went, never again. And I never went after that. It was the first and only time I went. That and the fact that I happened to be on the TV about 3 nights later.
Yeah, okay.
But this vehicle... some cars have been doing some burnouts, and then they could have cleared out. There was still a bit of smoke, and this really nice metallic dark blue Holden SS pulled in and started doing burnouts. And it was probably the best burn I've ever seen ever in my life. It was insane. This car went forever, and the smoke was so thick you couldn't see the people standing right next to you. Literally, there's hundreds of people, and you couldn't see them. All right, and all of a sudden, through the smoke, all I could see was this flashing of red and blue, just flashing. And I just grabbed the person next to me, who happened to be a friend that you and I both know very well. And I said to her, holy fuck, that's a cop car. And she's like, what? And I went, look. And she's like, fuck. And then I just yelled out, cops. I was the idiot that yelled out cops. I don't know why, but I did. Everybody fucking ran.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there's a cop car. And when the smoke cleared, the 2 coppers had been in that car who were doing the burnout, got out, and they were just waving at everybody with their high-vis vests on. They're just waving, and people just running everywhere. And next minute, the police helicopter's there. You can hear this dog kept appearing out of nowhere. Dog started barking. You can hear the sirens. They had boxed us in this time around. We were well and truly boxed in the industrial estate that we were in. People are going everywhere. and we were running. And when we were running, this guy just like took off and he nearly ran me over. He literally clipped my leg as I was running. And I was like, Jesus Christ, how close was that? Like if I had been an extra inch the other way, I probably went over the bonnet, right? The exact same time that was happening, the friend that we were with was screaming. And I looked over and some guys were trying to drag her into their car.
Okay.
And luckily the other mates that I was with, they ran, we got her out of there. She kind of like broke free, got her out of there. We jumped in our cars and we took off. We ended up going head on with a cop car at one stage, right? And when that cop car went past me, I just went, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I want to be a police officer, or I want to go to the military, or I want to become a firefighter. I've already been to car accidents where people have died, and I'm here doing this shit. So I'm not immune to it. No one's immune to it. So that's why I don't pretend to be on some like pedestal or higher than anyone else, because I'm not. I'm just like everyone else. But I guess as you get older and you see things differently and you go, wow, that's really dangerous and we shouldn't have been doing that. And we shouldn't be, and now it's even worse. I saw some footage the other day of an illegal street drag in Melbourne where there was two young kids. I say young kids, that they're probably 18, 19 maybe. In their mate's car, he's doing doughies, and they're both sitting up on the windowsill of the car, no seatbelts on, as their mate's doing doughies, and then they took off down the street, and they would have been doing 160, 70 Ks down the wrong side of the road, and they're outside of the windows. And I was like, we didn't do that shit.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that we were any better, but it's got to a whole nother level now where they're putting other, like when we did it in amongst the factories, again, not saying it's right, but we did it amongst the factories, there wasn't any other cars there. You couldn't really, like the only people that could get into the centre were people who were going to do burnouts. Other cars flanked it, so there wasn't any general public, and we were doing it away. Now they're doing it on main roads, down highways, main roads, all that sort of stuff. It's not safe, because then you got mums and dads out there with young kids that are just driving around, heading out to dinner, coming home from parties or whatever, and you might clean one of them up and kill those poor innocent people. So I think education's definitely key. Education's pretty key to most things these days. Education. And yeah, I don't know, just getting better at what we're doing, better at it for sure.
Do you reckon the TAC's campaigns are effective?
I don't think they are anymore.
No.
They used to be.
The 90s, I can remember them.
Man, do you remember that? I was thinking about this yesterday, right? I was talking to someone else yesterday, and do you remember that 90s campaign, the TAC, where there's the dog and trailer, like the rock truck or the quarry truck, whatever it is, and he's driving down the road, and the guy's driving the van heading towards him, and he falls asleep, and he just drives straight. The van just drives straight into the trailer, and just rips the front of the van, like the combi van,
Not off the top of my head.
And you can see like the dude is like dangling out of the car. Like it's the most horrific car accident footage you can probably see without looking at real footage.
Yeah.
Because then the truck driver pulls up and he gets out and he's like, oh, and he like puts his head down. But it's because the guy in the van fell asleep and crashed into the truck. It was insane. That footage was insane. Like the campaigns back in the 90s were, I think, very effective. I think the problem was, and I could be wrong, so anyone who knows this, please feel free to let us know, because I'm just saying what I heard many years ago, was that they had to stop running those ads because there was people who became traumatized from the ads.
Yeah, right.
And they went, you can't put that type of graphics during MASH at 6 o'clock at night between MASH and The Simpsons or MASH and Neighbours. You can't put those ads on. So they have to be on late at night, and then it was ineffective because most people were asleep by that stage.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true. Someone out there is from the TAC or from the police or anyone who was a part of that campaign and knows why they stopped doing it, let us know, but that's what I was told. I don't think the current ones are very effective.
Yeah, I can only remember the ones from growing up. There's one that I can remember. There's I don't know what it is medically, but like having the rods.
Oh, I had the rods through his head. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yep.
I think that's for spinal.
Yeah, had the spinal edge.
or
Yeah,
something
it was
like
spinal,
that,
and,
where
and his legs were all broken and stuff.
I can remember that, but I only can vaguely remember it because of when they did the montage with the Powderfinger song. I think.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
When they did the montage of everything.
Yeah, or the pictures of all the people who died. Remember that one? The pictures came in and out. The photos that they
I
got
don't
from
remember
family
that.
members, and it came in and out with the music playing.
Okay, I can only remember the ads that the ad montage that they did with it. And
They did. I think it was South Australia recently did an ad that a lot of people were talking about, where it shows the female police officer in her police car sitting at the front of the address of the parents that she has to go in and tell that their child has been killed in a car accident, and she's sitting in the car rehearsing what she's going to say to them and trying to, and just overly rehearsing it, just over and over and rehearsing it, and they're filming it to show you that, again, this one accident affects more than just, because this poor officer now has to go and deliver that message to your parents, and they're out there trying to work out how do they deliver that to them. Not good.
No, definitely not.
Not great. So that got a lot of attention recently, and that's a fairly new ad, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but education's a big part of it. If you go down that law enforcement track, then you've got to make it actually work. Otherwise, don't do it at all. Yeah. And that's hard because you never know. For someone, it might work. On other people, it might not work. So it's difficult. But education's the key, I think.
It's until the next thing gets invented. Well, they think autonomous cars may fix it, when self-driving cars, but for that to 100% work, every car needs to be self-driving.
Well, that's the problem. You've got to have, every car's got to be self-driving at that point, and then that may lead to other issues as well. I mean, technology's great, but technology still has its issues as well. But it'll probably reduce significantly. It'll definitely reduce significantly. But it may also bring other issues up as well. I don't know. It's a bit like the AI thing.
You're scared of AI, are you?
That's another podcast for sure, my man.
Okay.
I'm definitely keen to talk that one out.
We'll
Conspiracy theories on AI, they have to go almost back to back, I reckon.
Yeah, all right. We'll do that.
Or maybe that's just one massive episode.
Yeah.
We may need some bamboo for that one.
Bamboo. Yeah, we'll think of that. We'll think about that one. It'll have to be a...
Just literally just finished talking about not drinking, and I went,
let's drink.
I was sleep here that night, mate, all right?
Yeah. Well, you can't... Well,
I won't be driving home.
No, you will not be. Responsibly. Drink responsibly.
Definitely drink responsibly.
But, yeah, it's just something to think about before you make the stupid decision. Like, I'm glad that I've never been in a situation like that. That I'm not a rev head. I don't want to. I've been in car accidents, but not
major ones.
Not major ones. I've gotten out of them, but yeah, it's just I don't know. It's the shock that you're in at the time. It just makes everything a blur, and you're oblivious.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Yep.
But no, not actually being in a fair income crash, I could not imagine what it's like. The rehabilitation, if you're lucky enough to survive.
Yep. The ongoing effects, the lifelong effects for some people are just huge.
Like, you got some people that, can cope with it, but I don't know. I couldn't imagine having to, The worst would be, I'd assume, being trapped. Not being able to move out of a vehicle. That would be,
Well, we've been there and seen it. We've seen what happens. And it's not, it's not pretty.
No, definitely not.
It's not pretty. Because you think about when you're involved in a car accident and you're trapped and you're pinned for whatever reason, or however you're pinned, depending on how bad it is. And again, we've seen our fair share of really bad stuff and some, fairly straightforward entrapments as well. But the other thing about being trapped is you then have to listen to the emergency services going through their plan of how they're going to get you out. And then we start using very large, very loud machines, cutters and spreaders and rams and, combi tools and all these, things that we have that we use to get you out of your car. And the whole time, all you can hear is crunch, bang, smash. You can feel the car moving. We're connecting chains potentially. We're trying to get under, if you're one of these poor people who's legs might now be attached to your pedals in your car. We're trying to get under there to move all that stuff around and get that into the right position. And at the same time, the paramedics are talking to you and they're trying to get you sorted out for transport. Then there's helicopters potentially landing. You know, there's just so much. There's pumps running for, you know, hydraulic pump sets running and stuff like that. You've got fire truck pumps running because they need to have water there for fire protection. You can potentially smell gas or fuel, you know, depending on how the incidents occurred. So you're in there thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm going to catch fire. Now there's people who are using tools that might spark. All these sorts of things that are going on in your mind when you're in the car, not knowing that everything they're doing is actually to get you out of there and that everything's, you know, they've been trained and it's tested and checked. And but it's still, you're now going through that process. And I've actually spoken to a young girl, it was probably about 12 months, 2 years ago now, who was involved in a very serious accident. She's very lucky to be alive. And she's very lucky that, yes, she has permanent injuries, but she's not disabled. So she's been able to pick up her life and continue on, but it's just a bit different now to what it was going to be. And she says to me, she told me that, I'm not going to forget this ever. She told me that the thing that haunts her the most from her accident, that she still remembers and still wakes up, is the noises of the emergency services arriving and then the noises of them trying to cut her out of the car.
Yeah.
And she goes, you know, she'll hear someone clang metal together or something like that, and her automatically she goes back to when they started to cut the pillars in the car or whatever it may have been to get her out, and she'll hear something like spreading and then crunching, and she automatically remembers how they try to remove the floor panel and just things like that. And she was like, you know, that's the bit that she goes, out of everything else, she goes, I don't remember anything else out of the accident. I don't remember beforehand. I don't remember anything after that. She said, but I remember hearing the emergency service. Every time she hears a siren on a police car, an ambulance or a fire truck now, she just freaks out. And then she goes, and then hearing those noises, because that's the bit that she remembers. And I sat there going, Jesus Christ, I don't think I'd ever want to hear that. Like, that stuff's in my head and probably in your head because we're around it when it happens. But it's not there at the moment, it's not there from a traumatic perspective. It's there because we're around it. But yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I've got nothing else on that. Do you have anything else to contribute?
No, I'm good, mate.
No, that's
Education.
That's it. Plenty of education around it. Just be safe. Don't need to be in a hurry. Too many people in a hurry nowadays.
Chill out.
Settle down. If you don't want to be, this is for everyone listening and watching. Here's a tip for you. If you're going to speed, don't bother. Set the alarm earlier. That's all. That's where I notice it. It's more the mornings. Everyone's in a hurry in the morning.
Yeah.
Set your alarm earlier. Like, fair income. I do it. I get up. I only have one alarm. I'm surprised that there's people. Whoa!
Oh, he's broke the microphone.
That have more than one alarm to wake up.
Yeah, I used to. Now I'm pretty good at it. Now I got to a point now where I put my phone much further away. So when it goes up, I've got to physically get up to go and turn it off. And then once I'm up, I'm up.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
exactly
really loud.
It was.
It's really loud.
But there you go. Simple. There's a life hack. Set an alarm early enough
Get up.
and get up.
Go to bed earlier.
Yeah, that too. We're saying that. I'm going to
We
be
both
up
need to go to bed.
in a few hours.
I've got to be up at 4.
Oh, I'm not that bad. I think I'm an hour later, 5.
Oh, half your luck.
Yeah, I'll be 5.
Half your luck.
Oh, and then I was up since 3 o'clock this morning. So I'm doing all right to be awake now.
I'm not going to tell you when I woke up this morning.
Oh, you're going to say 2:30? No, 1:30.
On the dot.
Yeah, right. Did you wait? You woke up a day late for the earthquake in Pakenham. I've time-stamped this podcast.
No.
But we can talk about earthquakes in the next podcast.
Yay.
All right. Well,
We probably will, actually.
yeah, that might be a thing.
Because it's happening a lot lately.
Yes.
Let's maybe we can convince
Earthquakes.
a friend of ours to either come on the show. He won't come on.
Commissioner Gordon.
I thought he was saying this after Croydon. I'm tipping he won't come on the show, but maybe we can have a chat to him beforehand and get some statistics that we can share with people about.
I'm pretty sure those statistics are on the internet.
No, but I mean, as in they've got some other stuff that that they can talk about.
They can't
stuff.
release.
No, it's not that they
Secret
can't.
service stuff.
No, it's none of that stuff. But it's just more about there's obviously conversation about why they think that stuff's going on, and they don't, and the media could probably share it, but they just don't go. They only care about the initial thing, and then they don't care after that. So there might be some stuff there that he might be able to let us know about that we can share, or even point us in the right direction of where we can look at that stuff, because there'd be a reason for it. You can't have this many earthquakes going on in a place like Victoria, of all places, so often without there being something else happening.
But we'll leave that for the next podcast.
We'll leave that for the next podcast.
This has been episode 7 of the Staging Area. I've been Hayden Mack. That's been Simon Roy Lance.
Goodbye.
No, don't say goodbye.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I won't say goodbye.
Get us
Catch
on.
us, yeah.
Catch
Do
us
the
on YouTube, Rumble, subscribe and follow on that, and TikTok, Facebook, and TSA at militum.com.au. Email us. Anything. All right. That's it.
And for the crowd that's in here tonight watching us live, thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, hooroo.
It didn't work.
What are you pushing?
Just trying to press the button.
That one.
The live crowd. Thank you, guys. Cheers.